Fabio Wardley, let's be honest, he's overachieving. I think he will admit it himself, he's completely overachieving. I think he's 40 years old and I think he's shot to pieces.
There is a feel of the Usyk era, despite how brilliant he is, that has a whiff of the Klitschko's, because it doesn't have the pizzazz, it doesn't have any sizzle. There's not enough sizzle enough around him that makes it so sexy.
Let me throw this. Deontay Wilder, Fabio Wardley, Mosey Town, I'll see you later.
There'll be no big entourages. Daniel's father, no matter whether I was involved,
absolutely,
the coach is involved, Daniel's father is always going to be a very prominent figure in Daniel's life. I think that's blown out of proportion, honestly. I think that...
It's not blown out of proportion,
No,
mate.
no, I do. Like,
but it's not, though.
Welcome to episode 153 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver and Paul Smith. Joining us for the first show of 2026 is Sam Jones. Sam, I can't call you a boxing manager. Can I call you a boxing attaché or something like that?
You can call me whatever you like, Simon.
I do, regularly.
Well, probably not the best thing to say to Simon.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm all right. I'm very
I won't call you violent. I won't call you violent.
I'm in for that as well.
Nice to see you, Sam. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. On a more serious note, before we get into the framework of the show, we obviously, over the Christmas period, we saw the tragic circumstances surrounding Anthony Joshua, his close friends, Seema Gami and Latif Ayadola, that were tragically lost in a car crash in Nigeria. Have you spoken to Anthony over this period? Spencer, he's your friend?
No, I contacted him. I tried to contact him. I sent him a message. But yeah, such tragic circumstances, you know, heartfelt condolences go out to Latif's family and Seena's family, you know, and Anthony Joshua, I've got to say, you know, it's going to be a very tough ride. Knowing Anthony Joshua, it's going to be very tough for him.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Spence and ask you guys, specifically you and Paul as fighters. I don't want to be insensitive and jump straight into what happens to AJ next. But it is a question that will abound. As a fighting mentality, I can question you guys and speak to you about what it's like to be a fighter and debate with you about taking punches and what style of fight it is, but I can't inhabit the mindset of a fighter. This kind of circumstance, is this a circumstance that someone like Anthony can overcome and want to fight again? Or is it a situation where it's so distressing? Well, we've all seen these videos, and I don't understand this day and age why people think it's appropriate to film videos of these terrible circumstances, but they seem to think it is. Is these sort of circumstances overcomeable, Paul, Spence?
Well,
as a fighting person, to get back in a ring and want to throw punches at another man?
I think every individual's different. You know, Anthony Joshua is a very emotional guy anyway, and like, you know, he's lost two people there that were not just part of Team AJ, but they were close friends as well. You know, people that he's sort of grown up with, been around and everything else. So only Anthony Joshua will be able to give us those answers. But look, speaking as an ex-fighter, you know, if I'm in that position, I go, look, that's very difficult circumstances to overcome. Yeah, it's going to be emotionally very difficult for Anthony Joshua, for sure.
Yeah, I saw there was a very insensitive article from one of the newspapers straight away at what had been put out, and thankfully they took it down. They were discussing money and figures, and that's probably the last thing on his mind. But for me, it's not about boxing, obviously. It's about the man and his personal life now, and that's just, there's two good friends who've been a part of the team from day one, from what I'm aware of. Very, very close, as everyone's seen, and I honestly can't see him fighting again. I'd have no problem with him not fighting again after that. I don't know how he's going to find the drive, especially considering the position that he's in. Yeah. There's not really much left to prove for him, or much left to earn, and for me, I would have no problem with him not fighting again, but if I was in that position...
I think what I'd say, Paul, was that boxing will be the last thing on Anthony Joshua's mind right now. That is for sure. Yeah, exactly. You know, whether he wants to revisit that part of his life, you know, only he will know that. But right now, I think boxing is as far as
we don't want to be insensitive talking about that either. It's not like, oh, let's see him back in the ring.
That's not the point.
It's not about that. It's just, to answer the question, I personally don't think he'll fight again. But again, if he does, he's one strong man.
I mean, with the greatest respect in the world, our condolences go out to the families of the people that lost their lives. Yeah. And Anthony Joshua, as Eddie Hearn said to me, 6 inches to the right, and it could... being Anthony Joshua, and then, my word, what the world would have been saying in that situation.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, we move on with the events that are now current going forward, which, of course, includes the inevitable arrival back into the world of boxing from Tyson Fury, doing his much renowned hokey-cokey of I will, I won't, I will, I won't, I will, I won't. He is now telling us that 2026 is that year. Return of the Mac. Been away for a while, but I'm back now. 37 years old and still punching. Nothing better to do than punch a man in the face and get paid for it. I can relate to that, Spencer, if I get an opportunity to do that to you. This is good news, Spence, for the heavyweight boxing.
Of course, it's good news. He's a big character, and he's been a prominent figure of heavyweight boxing for the last 10 years or so, even more than that. So, of course, it's good for boxing. I think we need that right now. You know, Tyson Fury is a big character. I think he still has. He still has something left to offer. You know, we saw that with the 2 fights that he had with Alexander Usyk. Yes, he lost those fights, but he was still very much in those fights. So he's still very much a top-tier heavyweight right now. So the answer is, yeah, I'm pleased that Tyson Fury is back, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in 2026 and see where it takes him.
Yeah. I mean, trying not to wear your Daniel Dubois hat, Mr. Jones, I mean, if you were looking at Fury and managing his return, objectively and not subjectively, with Daniel Dubois being your young man and prize asset, what would you be managing his return to look like?
It's difficult to say, really, because Fury's like... There's a GIF, isn't there, on... if you ever type in the Simpsons GIF where Barney's going in and out Moe's Tavern, he hangs his hat up, he comes back out the door. It's like a revolving door. That's Tyson. He's in and out, isn't he? Like, 1 minute he wakes up, he's retired, next minute he's not. But if he's going to come back, I would imagine Tyson would probably just want the biggest and best fight. So he might... Does he really...
Monetarily or competitively?
Yeah, competitive. Does he really need a warm-up? I don't think so. Well, but, I mean, I've heard...
Well, Frank was saying
Makhmudov is going to be the opponent, so it could be... Yeah, so it could be a Makhmudov, which I understand. Do you know what I mean? He's coming off OK, the standard wasn't unbelievable, but it was still a packed-out arena against Dave Allen, and his name's kind of hot at the moment, so I would understand that being the comeback fight for Tyson. Listen, Tyson, he frustrates everyone with his in and out of and retiring, but him being back in boxing, he has the ability to headline a stadium, so it can only be good for boxing that he's back.
I don't think he's a bad opponent either. Arsenal back. Makhmudov is a tough guy, you know. He's one of those that's very heavy-handed, and you go, Tyson Fury's been out the ring for a while now, and you look at that and you look at the quality of opponent, you go, sort of ideal opponent really, someone that's going to stand in front of him.
I was just going to say,
he's stand in front of him.
Perfect opponent.
Absolutely.
If he doesn't look $1 million against him, you'll know exactly where Fury's at, because he is predictable.
But I mean, ultimately, there's been a whole raft of ruminations about what he may or may not do. And obviously we talk about the potential of a third fight against Usyk, and we'll talk perhaps about Usyk later on, about his departure from Riyadh season, what that might mean in the greater scheme of things. But he's talked about Usyk, he's talked about Caballero, who's obviously fighting on the weekend, isn't he? And Caballero is my favourite heavyweight at this moment in time, because I think he is, as you guys regularly say, he's the chairman of the Who Needs Him club, and been waiting around for some opportunity for some time after beating Frank Sanchez, after beating Zhilei Zhang, and after beating Makhmudov, and was the person that actually whittled the giant down first time round, wasn't he? I mean, he's talked about Fabio Wardley. Which direction do you think is the best way for him to go, Paul? I mean, do you think that going in against a Makhmudov was the better way to go, or going straight in and taking the opportunity against, with due respect to Fabio, a newbie champion that's not experienced at that level, done wonderfully well, and deserves all the plaudits that we gave him at the end of last year, which was celebrating him and his ascension to the heavyweight championship of the world, which he rightly won in real terms against Joseph Parker. But would you take the opportunity if Fabio Wardley was on the table if you were Tyson Fury?
I seen Fabio in Dubai at the convention we were at, and had a chat with him and explained, like, don't ever think like us or we do not about praise you. But he has got a massive target on his back, and because of his background, upbringing, way into boxing, people are thinking, let's jump on that. That's the easiest. But look, are you going to fight Usyk for the 3, or are you going to fight him for the 1? That's the easiest route to a world title, with all due respect to Fabio Wardley in the heavyweight division. So he's rightfully got a target on his back. But for me, Fury, there's no need for a warm-up fight, as Sam's just said, and Spencer's probably agreeing with. I don't think, at the age he's at the position he's in, and the miles he's got on the clock, the Ngannou performance, you just never know. Just go straight in for the title.
I think the problem he's got, guys, is that Fabio Wardley's not going to, I don't think, want to fight Tyson Fury in his first defence. I think he's going to be looking at a different.
Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I do think that. I just think that.
You think Fabio wouldn't want it? Fabio will take it, won't he?
The management, of course, you get the fighters are fighters.
You mean Frank?
I think in the management way, I think they'll look at that and go, look, Tyson Fury, I see coming in against Makhmudov or someone like that. Fabio Wardley has a win against whoever he boxes, a top tier heavyweight. And then we can talk about that sort of fight. But I
think also that it's a win-win for Queensberry if he fights Fury.
Absolutely.
Either way, they're leaving with the winner.
But I don't think they'll put
Fury straight in. WBO? by the way.
I've just got to say, with that, what you just said about Fabio Wardley, Fabio Wardley, let's be honest, he's overachieving. I think he will admit it himself. He's completely overachieving. If he's got an opportunity to fight Tyson Fury in a football stadium, that will maximise his earnings opportunity. And also, if you're ever going to beat Tyson Fury,
it's now.
It's now. So if I'm managing Fabio Wardley, I mean, I want him to fight Daniel Dubois for obvious reasons. I think it's a great fight. But if he's got an opportunity to fight Tyson Fury, strike while the iron's hot and get the fight made.
I mean, again, I asked you the question about... I want to pick up on something before I go off and talk about the Riyadh season and the challenges that Usyk has in terms of a landscape. But when you say overachieving, I mean, he beats who he beats. I've never understood that overachieving mentality because he's won the heavyweight championship of the world. He beat Joseph Parker, and legitimately beat him.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was potentially lucky to get away with the win against Justice Hooney.
Yeah.
Are you saying he's overachieving because the orthodoxy of the background of where he's come from, with the constant reminder of the fact he was a white label fighter, he had no amateur career behind him, is an overachievement, or is there a different mentality that you're approaching to that?
Listen,
he's won the fights he's won.
I'm a massive fan of Fabio Wardley, but forget Daniel Dubois aside, I would pay, if I wasn't in boxing, I would pay money to watch Fabio Wardley box. I think he's brilliant. I think he can beat you at a moment's notice, and he's got that complete equaliser. But if you look at Justice Hooney, he's getting clinically outboxed for every single round, pulled a bat out of his pants and knocked him spark out. The Joseph Parker fight, it was touch and go at some stage, but he got the better of him and won. But I just think with Fabio Wardley, it's like if you have an opportunity to fight the biggest name in the division, you've got to take it.
But he would take it. That's the point. He will take the Fury. I don't think that Fury's side will want to go straight in with Fabio Wardley. He'll want to get rounds under his belt first. Whether you think that's right or wrong, he won't go straight in with Fabio Wardley. Wardley was going to fight Alexander Usyk. He wants to fight with Alexander Usyk.
Do you not think that's an older mentality to what Fury's got, where he still thinks he's probably 5 years ago, and it's not? Time's ticking.
Yeah.
I don't think there's the opopportunity for...
Yeah.
Me personally, I wouldn't be going for a comeback fight, an easy one.
Do you not think so?
No.
I think
How old is he now, Fury?
37.
38.
Well, he did say himself, didn't he? This is a young man's game. This is when he was talking about packing in.
And when was the last time he looked really good? That's my point. Yeah. So don't take the banana skin, just jump straight in and go for it. And if you've still got it, great, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen Usyk. And do you think there's a massive appetite for Usyk versus Fury 3?
I would much rather see Usyk fight Fury 3 than him fight Deontay Wilder, which is what apparently he's trying to do. I mean, I'm not disrespecting Deontay Wilder because I think he's been great for the sport, but he's shot to pieces. I want to see Usyk... If Usyk's going to fight again, I want to see him give Wardley a crack, or I want him to fight Tyson Fury in a trilogy. Other than that, we're not really interested, are we?
What do you make of this, Paul? I mean, we've just seen Usyk has distanced himself or severed the relationship with the Riyadh season and going over to America to potentially make fights there. Now, that to me smacks of, for whatever reason, he isn't able to get the monetisation that he wants from Riyadh season. Do you have any sort of viewpoints as to why Usyk would not be fighting under Riyadh season anymore, given the fact that they're the game in town and have been the game in town for the last 2 or 3 years?
I think you just said it yourself. I think obviously the money must have been lowered. The big funds that were there are probably not there as much as what it was in the past.
Because the unified heavyweight champion of the world.
No, but you're not talking the opponents wise. It's not going to be. Usyk couldn't fill a stadium over here, could he? Unless it's against one of the dance partners like Fury, like Joshua.
I think Usyk's at the stage of his career now as well, guys, where he said that he wants 3 more fights now and he's out. So he's obviously got a plan in his mind where he wants to go with those fights. And he's looking at it going, look, I want to be that guy that beats everyone of that modern era.
Is it really that? Is that not a real thing?
Do you think it's for financial reasons?
Well, I think the only reason...
he's earned enough money and now...
Well, has he?
Absolutely.
Has he, in comparison with the other
fighters?
fighters?
What's money for a fighter, though, Spencer?
No, but what I'm saying... but guys, you've got to understand, like, from his point of view as well, he's going... That's why he chose Deontay Wilder, not because he feels that it's a competitive fight now, but it's just another name of that era that will stop all the talking points. I wonder if he would have beat...
Do you think it might be the venues as well? Do you think it might be the country, the States? He wants to go fight Madison Square Garden, Vegas... Would that be the old dreams, aren't they, before money?
No, you can't decide.
But is that a real thing, boys? Because we create these things in the media. We have a tendency to create and curate what we think is the mindset of a fighter. Usyk has beaten everybody, right? Anyone
apart from Wilder.
Twice.
But Wilder's done.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Is it really?
You won't be saying that in 20 years, mate. When you're looking at resumes, when you're talking about...
Is that real?
Right, so
he
here
won't
it
be
is.
seeing it in 20 years' time?
No, here it is then. Here it is. Let me come in from this angle. When you're talking about the best heavyweights in history, and you're looking at them, and you're looking at resumes, etc., etc. Alexander Usyk is unprecedented. You look at him, undisputed cruiserweight, undisputed heavyweight champion twice, and the people that he's beaten. The only name that's not on his resume, and he'll be thinking this as well, is Deontay Wilder. Forget what state Wilder's in right now, because it is. Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
I agree. I agree, Spence.
But you've got to understand it from that side as well.
I agree, but to me, to a boxing-obsessed fan growing up from the age of 4 with boxing gloves on in the living room with my underpants on wanting to fight, Mike Tyson will never be ranked below Alexander Usyk. Mike Tyson's my favourite. Mike Tyson's the one who devastated the division. I think on his day, he could have beat any of them, and he probably would have lost to a couple of them as well on his day. That's how fights are, but Usyk is trying to cement his greatness, I get it, and beating Wilder might be, in 20 years' time, you look back, but I think it might be something a bit more to it, like he just wants to go and fight in the States. How many people do you know?
Well, there you go.
It's a dream when you're a kid, you want to go and fight in Madison Square Garden, you want to fight in Las Vegas, it could be, but I don't know the real reason why the Riyadh season is not working. It's got to be something behind the scenes.
Didn't they comment though? Didn't they say that wasn't the case?
And we're still friends.
Yeah, we're still friends and all that kind of stuff. All I know is that when you look at it, I'm talking as a boxing fan, forget about being involved in boxing, but as boxing fans, you forget you've boxed or whatever. If you look at Wilder against Usyk, it's a grotesque mismatch.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
No one wants to see that.
Totally agree with you, but how many boxing fans is there as opposed to people that want to watch?
Unless we see
somehow
we see a revitalised Deontay Wilder, because what we're seeing is Deontay Wilder was the former fighter known as Deontay Wilder in the last 2 fights. If somehow or another, because he talked about the challenges in his life, he talked about the loss of direction, he talked about being consistently off balance, and now all of that has come down. I mean, I thought he was having a kumbaya moment when he was saying it, but notwithstanding that, if you do get a Deontay Wilder with serious intent, there is a fight to be had there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's 40 years old. I think he's 40 years old, and I think he's shot to pieces.
Okay.
You're right, but I just think it's long gone. I think it's too late in the day for them to come back and beat him.
Listen, I think from both sides, Alexander Usyk's earned the right to choose that opponent in my eyes. Coming off the back of what he's achieved, you go, I understand it, I get it, I understand the reasoning behind it. Yeah. Deontay Wilder, he's been a big character himself, and he gets that opportunity again.
You're not staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it, though, are you?
I never stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning.
There is an argument, though, that Usyk probably should retire, because who else is there for them to fight? Apart from maybe Cabello.
I hate to hear myself say this, and I'm happy to get slapped about for it. There is a feel of the Usyk era, despite how brilliant he is, that has a whiff of the Klitschko's, because it doesn't have the pizzazz, it doesn't have any sizzle. There's more sizzle about Usyk than there was about Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, but you can't,
I know it's a bad comparison, but it was
beat Anthony Joshua twice, he's beat Tyson Fury twice.
But why would Riyadh season not
everybody twice?
Klitschko never beat anyone, they were all really boring names.
And he always boxed
he's cleaned up the era.
I'm talking about the sexiness of it. The fact that Usyk, whoever Mike Tyson went in with, right, would have filled an auditorium. Whoever it was, whether it was Carl the Truth Williams that he knocked out in the first round, or it was Pinkland Thomas, or it was Tyrell Biggs, or whoever it was, it didn't matter, right? Whoever he went in with, right? But whereas with Usyk, there's an element of this guy is the elite of the elite, but there's not enough sizzle enough around him that makes it so sexy.
Let me throw this out there, right? Usyk said he wants 3 fights and then three more fights and then he's out. Let's go like this. Deontay Wilder next. Then he goes for the WBO title again and goes for Fabio Wardley. And then, to show his greatness, before he retires, he takes on Moses Atauma, the kid that everyone's talking about as the next heavyweight generational great. Moses Atauma in his 3rd and final fight, and then see you later.
That's what I was going to say. Find me 3 opponents.
Find me 3 opponents. 3 fights better
in Ukraine.
It'd be tough for him to get 3 opponents that people will want to tune in to watch.
Never fighting Moses Atauma.
Why not?
Because I don't think because there's too much of a legacy damage there.
But that's what I'm talking about. He might be wanting to go for greatness.
But Tyson Fury is a businessman and looks at the reality of what is an outcome for him. There's zero benefit.
No, I'm talking about Usyk.
Oh, Usyk.
Usyk, yeah, sorry. Usyk. I'm talking about Usyk.
Yeah, okay.
Deontay Wilder, Fabio Wardley, Moses Atauma. See you later.
I would like to see Cabello in the mix here, because he's the one that I think deserves the opportunity. How would you see, if we got Cabello, he's fighting this weekend, and I expect him to win that fight, if there's an opportunity for, let's say Usyk doesn't defend and one of the belts drops off, and ultimately it becomes Cabello's to have.
Yeah.
How do you think Fury would go against someone like Cabello?
Again, back to what I was saying, and I'm really trying my best not to sound negative to Fury because he's been unbelievable for boxing and British boxing, and I like him. What's he got left? Because if he hasn't got 80% left, I'm going to Nick Cabell. And what we've seen in the last few fights is it's not probably 80% no more. And they're retiring and coming back. They're retiring and coming back. I know it's what he's done, but it's not good for him.
But that's why he has the warm-up fight, Paul, to see what percentage he has got left, because he's going to need to know that himself. In the gym, he might be looking great and he's firing on all cylinders, but until he steps through those ropes, he won't know. Yeah. Fury won't risk that. He'll have a warm-up fight before going into a big fight of some magnitude after that.
Isn't a warm-up fight, though, a risk? Everything's a risk, isn't it? I don't know.
It is, but you need to know where you're at.
And when you say, do you know Cabell, you say the chairman of the Who Needs Him club, Cabell sold, I think, 10,000 tickets in Germany. He's then speaking about him boxing in a football stadium in Germany. He's going to be a big old force in Germany. But and listen, as I say, Daniel Dubois go and fight him. No problem.
Francis Ngannou was a warm-up fight. Was a gimme fight, and it shouldn't have even been classed as a fight.
Right.
Seeing what happened there.
You see what happened there with it. You know what I mean?
Well, Fury, I mean, as you see on the screen, has posted the tail of the tape, and ultimately, what you can see the direction of travel he thinks he's going in. You know, in terms of the outcomes that he's projecting for himself, with smoke coming at the end of the year. We'll see. Moses Atoma is fighting on January 24th against Jermaine Franklin. This is an interesting fight for a lot of reasons in it, because a lot of the currency will be made out of the fact that Jermaine is very durable. And it wasn't the fight that was originally anticipated. That was going to be Kubrat Pulev. For whatever reason, monetarily, I think it wasn't made. He went off and lost to Gassiev, right? You've now got Jermaine Franklin, who went in against Dillian Whyte. A lot of people felt that he won the fight against Dillian Whyte. Was unlucky. I didn't find it the most inspiring fight for Anthony Joshua to have had, but Anthony Joshua was coming back and rebuilding against Jermaine Franklin. So he goes in with a thought process of that, or the thought process is that he's very durable. Where is the benefit in this fight for Moses Atoma? Is it that he gets rounds against this guy, or, as Frank Boren said to me earlier on today, well, no one gets paid for overtime. I don't care if he knocks him out in the first round. Yeah,
well, I think there's a lot of credibility if he does knock Jermaine Franklin out, because Franklin's one of those guys that's very difficult to use his lack of height to his advantage, very difficult to look good against. We saw that with Anthony Joshua. He went 12 rounds with Anthony Joshua as well. So you go, the benefits from this is Moses Atoma goes in there, gets the job done against Jermaine Franklin and does it in style, and then all of a sudden you're looking at it going, well, now, you know, this kid is like, he's beating people now that survive or push top-tier opponents all the way. So I think it's a clever move. Jermaine Franklin is a good opponent because he could get the rounds under his belt, which is much needed. But also, if he gets rid of him and gets rid of him in style,
but we know
you have to take notice.
But we know he can do that. And no one thought we could do that against Dempsey McKean, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thought that Dempsey McKean was a credible opponent. He'd taken Filip Hrgović to 11 rounds to dispatch of him. Bang. Gone, finished, right? So do we learn anything, Paul? Or if he goes in against Jermaine Franklin, who, you know, OK, he's been given some cachet because he went 12 rounds with a rebuilding Anthony Joshua who hadn't fought for a while after being demolished or beaten by Usyk. Not demolished, he was demolished by Daniel Dubois later on. But do we learn anything about Moses Atoma that we don't already know? That we know that he can punch, we know that if someone gets hit by him, they're going to go. We still have the resounding question about Moses Atoma. When someone sticks it on him, is he capable? I think everyone thinks he is, but that's the only question, isn't it?
I don't think you're going to get the answers that people really want out of Moses, because I just think he's brilliant.
Until he fights a world-class opponent.
Yeah, I think Jermaine Franklin is a very good opponent, but he's known for making things difficult but not really posing that much of a threat.
I wouldn't be surprised if he absolutely wipes him out.
I was just about to... I promise, I was just about to say this.
And that's the thing.
I think Moses Atoma is going to absolutely obliterate him.
Yeah, me too.
I agree.
Me too.
And I think we're all going to be left scratching our heads until he fights.
But he's making another statement. He's making another statement
to us. It's making a statement to the industry, but the fans are just going to think, oh, another mismatch.
Yes, what I mean.
It's not really a win-win fight for them.
Talking about world-level fighters, let's get you closer to home. What's the plan for Daniel Dubois?
To be in a mix, honestly. Like we want as a team, we would like the Fabio Wardley fight. But again, wanting and getting is two different things, because it would have to be a voluntary shot. And Fabio has earned his stripes. He deserves...
Why should he take that fight?
Why should he? But say if he doesn't get a Fury fight, he doesn't get a unification fight, he doesn't get the Usyk fight, the biggest available name, let me make that clear, outside of the boys, the obvious boys, is Daniel Dubois, which means the biggest payday. And I think those two Londoners having it out at the O2 Arena is an absolute barn burner to watch. If he doesn't want to do that, that's up to him. He's earned the right not to. It's a voluntary defence. But I'm just making it very clear we'd love that fight. And the Cabello fight, nobody wants him. Daniel Dubois wants him. So We're in the mix for all these fights.
He's open to all the top tier opponents because the problem you got, Sam, is because of Daniel and how dangerous he is. The top tier fighters won't want to put that position on the line before boxing. These titles will fragment at some point.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? So opportunities are going to come out there. So I think the problem is like getting the opponent that wants to fight Daniel.
You look at, but like I say, like it's a money business. It's a money business, isn't it, Paul? Like people all look at that and think, what's the biggest available money fight for me? And like I say, no one's running towards Ajit Kabayel. Daniel Dubois, if you look at his heavyweight CV, no matter what anyone says about Dan, he boxes anybody. So we'll fight Kabayel, we'll fight him in a stadium in Germany.
Any of the big names on the premise, on the cusp of being given a world title shot, have zero benefit in fighting Daniel Dubois unless they're fighting him for a title. Why would you? Because ultimately, what's Daniel got to offer you? Unless he's going to give you a big payday, why would you take Daniel Dubois? Not because you're fearful of fighting him, because ultimately, if you have a bad night and put yourself in the way of something, and there's nothing to be gained from beating Daniel Dubois, you don't get closer to a title. If you're on Ajit Kabayel and you're next up in line to fight for a world title, unless you're fighting Daniel Dubois for that world title, what's the point of fighting him?
I've said this for a long time, Simon, and this is my thing. When people talk about UFC is one industry and one company in a big sport. One belt doesn't work, and undisputed titles, they tend to mess the order of things up, and fighters sit around waiting, especially in the heavyweight division, the light heavyweight division. My brother Callum's waited nearly a year to get for the interim title defence. It's tough, and I do agree with the Ring Magazine belt. You can have one who's known as the number one, but I think we need these other titles, unfortunately, for boxing, because it keeps things moving. It keeps the fight being made, because
it goes stagnant, doesn't it?
You're both exactly right what you're saying. Why would you take a chance like Joseph Parker did against Wardley and lose everything?
Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of noise, Sam, literally and metaphorically, was made at the time of the Usyk fight with Daniel and the antics that went on. And they've been pulled to pieces and examined by all us so-called experts that understand the psyche of his dad and understand the psyche of his background. Has there been a straightening out of the perspective? Because I think most people, irrespective of you defending the fact that you now have a relationship with Daniel and you don't want to talk out of turn about his dad, and I understand all that, right? But most people look at that and go, that can't have been helpful. Those antics weren't, in our mind, constructive or beneficial to a fighter going in and probably his toughest test.
Yeah.
Right? Have you established order in the space?
It's not, honestly, I promise you, it's not about establishing order. It's about, it's not going to happen again. They did it before the AJ fight. It worked. He looked $1 million. Happened in the Usyk fight. It didn't go to plan. It was the wrong thing to do. Everyone, we just...
All signed up for that, have they?
We just move
Everyone's
forward.
on that page?
Yeah, it's
Father's
just...
on the page?
It's not going to... It's not... I think you'll see a more... There'll be no big entourages. There'll be just...
Who has the final say in that, though? Because we know that his dad is a prominent part of this team.
Yeah,
and what he says pretty much goes with a lot of stuff.
Daniel's father, no matter whether I was involved...
Absolutely.
The coach is involved. Daniel's father is always going to be a very prominent figure in Daniel's life, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's just about coming together and making a decision as a team. But as for his dad, his dad's his dad, and he wants what's best for his son.
Does he understand that, though, to you?
What, his dad?
Yeah.
Of course, I speak
Does he
to
understand that? Obviously, Daniel comes first, whatever's best for Daniel.
100%.
Because obviously, he's going to think that what he's done in the past has been best. And listen, I've said this time and time again, I'm not completely slagging him off.
Yeah.
He can sit back and go, well, my kids are all world champions, that's the champion amateur boxers.
Yeah.
I've done the best job in the world for them, and he has.
Yeah.
So, is he aware that obviously it's
absolutely?
But
like, listen, nobody's perfect, are they, Paul? And we can all make the wrong decisions. Yeah. We've all done it. But I think it's like he's in a position, like you say, though, like his son like speaks like 3 different languages. Yeah. He's a boxer, plays about 4 different instruments. Yeah. His daughter, world champion. His other daughter, seriously intelligent. Daniel, former heavyweight champion of the world. He's like, well, who are we
Fantastic,
really? Who are we really?
Is there? I mean, there's a lot of road in front of Daniel, a lot of opportunity, right? And unless I think the consensus of opinion is, unless there is a structured approach to the best outcome for Daniel as a boxer, not for his son and father relationship, but for the best outcome from, in terms of trainers being able to train. I spoke to Paul about it. I spoke to Jamie Moore about it, and both of them felt that the father's influence in the circumstances would be something that I think I'm right in saying this, Paul, that they would find uncomfortable if they were training Daniel Dubois. Has that now been straightened out and everyone understands that going forward there is a degree of orthodoxy about the thinking that probably needs to be deployed to give him the best opportunity to be the best version of himself and potentially win a world title again?
Absolutely. I mean, Daniel's training with Tony. And Tony's been around, Tony Sims. He's been around long enough to know, like, Tony's the coach and what he says goes. You know what I mean? Like it's Tony's. We've had conversations already, and Tony's a very prominent voice in that. And why would you bring an experience like that if you weren't going to listen to him?
I suppose what we're sort of asking is though that if Daniel's father decides to make a decision that sort of overturns what Tony's saying, because it's been done in the past where he sort of puts himself in there and says, no, I'm the final decision, that's how it goes. Has them conversations been had where you say, listen, let the trainer be the trainer, let the manager be the manager, and you be the father, because sometimes his father's involvement overturns the manager or the trainer?
I think that's blown out of proportion, honestly. I think that...
It's not blown out of proportion, mate.
No, I do. But
it's not, though.
When we've discussed opponents now going forward, it's all of us together. Yeah. Obviously, Tony being a huge part.
I get that.
Yeah, different conversation. What I'm saying is, has that been ironed out? Because in the past, I know this anyway, but in the past, his father has played certain roles where maybe the trainer should have played or the manager should have rated, overturned things. All I'm saying is, had they ironed it out to make it a lot smoother and a lot easier for everyone to operate?
From what my experience of working with Daniel for a short period of time, there's been.
So we're not going to. So bottom line, we're not going to see. We're going to see a more professional approach to the circumstances surrounding the prepreparation for big fights. We're not going to see people walking into auditoriums with a party pride.
There'll be none of that. And as I say, going forward, Daniel, you'll see him involved in big fights like he always is. He don't shirk a challenge, and I'm looking forward.
And we'll look forward to the next iteration of Daniel to see that the questions that still keep being asked about him. I like Daniel Dubois. I hoped that he'd do better in a fight against Alexander Usyk. The question comes up and has come up on numerous occasions. I know the answer will be look at Hrgović, look at Baby Miller, but there's still a question about when it gets tough for Daniel.
Yeah.
There's a gag reflex that he doesn't. And I know I shouldn't say it because I'm not a fighting man, so I'll move on from that. At the end of 25. We saw a big boxing event, whether you want to call it a big boxing event, you call it a Netflix show. Interestingly, we saw with the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, which you constantly kept on saying was a real fight, Spencer, but I won't bring it up again.
Great trip, mate.
We saw 108 million people watched it. Right? We saw 33 million people tune in to the Netflix Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Now, that's about 10% of the subscription base that Netflix have got.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't a pay-per-view, was it?
No, but Netflix is that entertainment space, and you go...
Were you surprised at the figure? Were you surprised at the figure?
No, I wasn't. And I'll tell you why. Mike Tyson is an iconic figure who's huge, and everyone's kids that know Mike Tyson and the name or whatever. There will be a lot of intrigue in watching Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, because Jake Paul has his own massive audience. Anthony Joshua, stateside... is not very big. His name wasn't very big. In fact, he's come out with a lot more credibility after taking that fight, and a lot more people know who he is off the back of fighting Jake Paul. But before that, and I think that reflects on the numbers. So with Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, a lot of the kids over there would not have even heard of Anthony Joshua, and I think that is the stark reality.
But it's interesting, because I don't know the exact number, but I think Jake Paul's got 70, 80, 100 million followers. So the fact that an audience of only 30... And this was a Jake Paul audience, and this was a Jake Paul event. And the people in the auditorium were all Jake Paul fans. They were there to watch Jake Paul, not Anthony Joshua.
Yep.
Does this sort of return on the event? Because Netflix would have structured it in a certain way. When I was looking at the metrics of Netflix, without getting up my own arse in terms of figures, right? The acquisition of a subscriber, the lifetime value of a Netflix subscriber is about $900, right? And the last time they got, when they got Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson, they got 2 million extra subscribers. So they then generate future revenues of about $2 billion. So they pay $100 million because it fucking don't mean anything in terms of the great scheme of things against what they're acquiring. But in this instance, they've got far less investment from an audience. Is this, do you think, the sort of pricking of the Jake Paul bubble, Paul, in terms of the novelty factor?
It could be, as well as the way the fight ended. That could be the last the last straw, because it wasn't a close fight. It wasn't competitive. It wasn't really a fight, but it's obviously Jake Paul and what he's done. I've said this time and again. You can do nothing but applaud him, but I think that's run its course now. What's he going to do? Go down to cruiserweight and, like he's saying, and
hopefully box Pat Brown.
Well, he's ranked 15, isn't he? But he's ranked 15 in the world.
What would
two paces below your man?
Where's Pat Brown ranked in the world at the moment?
11.
Top prospect, unbelievable prospect. probably knocking on the door for the top 50 in the rankings, he would absolutely destroy Jake Paul.
Absolutely. And
no one knows over in the States, with all due respect to Pat Brown, a lovely lad.
They will.
No one knows who Pat Brown is. They will. They definitely will. So you're going to get more sort of criticism for fighting an unknown that no one knows and then losing again, because he's not going to win a world title at cruiserweight.
I think the foreseeable future sort of unknown really for Jake Paul right now because of the damage to his jaw. You know, that's going to take a long time to recover. Forget all this 6 months, 9 months. It's not, and he's going to have to go back into training, psychological damage, all of that sort of stuff.
I just think it was
a David Blaine exercise.
There you go.
I just think it was a David Blaine exercise because there's no normal person, especially he's got like Jay Leon Love, who's boxed himself at a very good level. He's got people around him that have been in the ring. There's no way. And unless they're just barefaced lying to him, saying, by the way, you've got a real shot of winning this fight. You have not a chance. It was a David Blaine exercise. And he just saw how... it was basically, how long can I stay in this ring for with this guy? Do you not think
the people that were around him were saying that to him? I personally do, because, like, you know what it's like.
Well, it must have been, because he ran for...
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You make out like you like sound every week or two, every paying the wages, and they're going to say whatever they can because they're getting paid.
His bread's buttered, mate, right?
There you go.
Do you think the real opportunity for Jake Paul is to go up against, with MVP, go up against Queensberry and Matchroom?
They can put on a good show, but he is like the main. Who have they got? I mean, listen, Jake Paul's a great promoter. We know that for a sure. He's an unbelievable businessman. So, like, yeah, he's got a great.
I think honestly, that's where he should be now. Forget the fighting. You've got a top stable of, especially female fighters. From here.
If the rumours are right,
on that. Put your money into that and really have a good go.
Contract. If the rumours are right, and I think his name's very much in the mix for this Sky Sports contract, and that would make sense really because Sky Sports was so invested in women's boxing. He's sort of got all of the names there. The girls over here as well.
It would actually, Spencer. It would make sense given the way that Sky Sports have moved themselves into a situation where they've got lots of young influencers that are part of this staple content now. You see it in football, all of the panels that are there's no expertise, it's just influencers talking about what they view the world to be, and it brings an audience with them. So is that where, I mean, can you see a situation, Paul, where MVP become the preferred promoter for Sky?
Possibly not at the moment, but I agree with what you're saying, and it's something that used to grate on me with Sky, and I watched Sky towards the end going worse and worse and worse. With all due respect to the lads that worked there who were good, who were top quality boxing people, it wasn't necessarily boxing people that were on. There's people interviewing fighters that I'd never heard of that, and they weren't asking the right questions that you want to hear after the fight. What did you think on this performance? What did you think on this? And it was more down the influencer route, which... It's Sky Sports. It's the institution of boxing in this country from the 90s, you know. And I wanted to see the blue ribbon stuff on there, and it wasn't going that way. But Jake Paul is that type of market.
Indeed.
Jake Paul has got a top-class stable of fighters now, and they're doing really well by the fighters. So
female fighters, but who's
female fighters? He has the best female fighters in this country. So. Let them fight in this country, get them on shows in this country rather than having to wait for the big show in the States. If they come over here and put the shows on over here, they're going to be... So if Sky's the outlet for that, then great, I think it's a good fit, but whether it is or not, we'll see.
Sky Sports, I'm hearing, could be Southpaw Boxing, TKO Promotions and MVP. That's pretty much where they could land.
We'll see. I mean, the interesting thing with Sky, for me, and this, again, ruminating into the ether, is that Sky's subscriber numbers are falling off a cliff. So, A, I don't know whether their investment is in boxing anymore. B, whether they're going to be able to afford the next right of broadcast deal for football, let alone pumping money to boxing. We'll see. Do you think, given that Netflix have had a little dance in the boxing space, and given that really now we hear it and it's been coined the expression, which is DAZN is the home for boxing, do we need another broadcaster to keep it not so much honest, because I'm not suggesting it's dishonest, but to keep it focused on the fact that the DAZN just doesn't have a free rein to do what it wants, and we have more broadcasters. I know we've got Ben Shalom dropping into the BBC, and he makes a big deal about the second show being better than the first one in terms of presentation. It couldn't be worse because it was like the set of Crossroads, wasn't it? The first one.
It's good for fighters. The more platforms there are, because if it's all an internal negotiation. The fighters aren't gonna. The money's not gonna be as good as what it will be if there's when Ben Shalom was on Sky, he was offering outrageous money for like your Ben Whitakers and your Fraser Clarks, and it was competitive. If it's all on one platform,
There's no competitive tension.
Listen, I think if Netflix come in as a main player as opposed to dipping their toe in and out of the water...
I don't think they will.
No, but I'm saying...
They're an entertainment business.
If they decide... Yeah, but if they decide to come in on a more... regular basis. If they decide to do that, you go, look, it can only benefit boxing.
Oh, yeah, it will.
So, what is they, 300 million subscribers?
Yeah, and listen, the Ben Shalom thing, I'm not criticising them for that. I'm buzzing that boxing's on the BBC. I'm absolutely made up. And
just do it well.
I hope they absolutely smash it and they get the shows better, the production better. Netflix, I'm delighted Netflix in boxing, if they are in boxing, because it gets the average fan off the couch thinking, I'll watch this. I used to channel flick. We all flick through the channels. The average fella on the couch who watches Match of the Day, if there's a fight on just before it, he'll probably watch the fight as well.
Absolutely.
I think we need more of that. And the zone, I'm not comparing it with what Box Nation was. And Box Nation at the time was great because we got to see more boxing. I first started commentating on it. I was very grateful.
You boxed on there, didn't you?
Boxed on it as well. But I started my commentary and I was very grateful for it. But only people who are interested in boxing are going to watch that. And it's similar with the zone at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not putting that down. It's great for what it's doing at the moment. And we all have it and we all watch the fights. But Netflix is a bit different in the sense that your average fan on the couch who isn't really the boxing expert will watch it because they've already bought it.
Absolutely right.
It's already paid for.
Let's move on to talk about Sam's mate, Conor Benn. We don't know where he's going to fight, who he's going to fight. Now, we know who he doesn't like and who he can be rude to. But we don't know which weight class he's going to fight in and when he's going to fight. Now, you've got Jack Catterall in the mix with you, Sam. Can you truly make a claim, or can you back up the position that is being asserted that Conor Benn is a world-class fighter when you've got Jack Catterall sitting in your stable that really is?
Conor Benn's just a bigger name. Conor Benn's a bigger name. He's been a part of 2 back-to-back stadium fights, whether people like it or not, and he's apart from AJ and Fury, he's the biggest commercial name in this country by a mile at the moment. So I personally think he is. I think he is. I've seen how hard he trains and how hard he dedicates himself. And I think that all this of, he won't win a world title, like, you honestly don't believe Conor Benn would beat Rolando Romero. Conor Benn would spark Rolando Romero. He'd beat Barrios, and he's going to fight the winner of Barrios and Garcia for the WBC world title. That's what's going to happen.
So if he was given the opportunity to fight Lewis Crocker, would he beat him?
I believe so, yeah.
You think he'd beat Lewis Crocker?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the big question for Conor that we think is the debate whether he can get down to 147. We've all felt that if he before he fought Eubank, that the fight that I would have preferred for him to take was Barrios, and I felt he could win that fight, and still think he could win that fight. I don't think he can fight. I don't think he can win at 154. I don't think he wins a world title.
That's because Boots Ennis is there. No one's beating him.
Understood.
No one's beating him. Let me tell you that.
I think the worry is when you've been up to 160. It's maintaining that strength and that speed.
No, I
and
get
that
all of that.
When you drop back down to 147.
It's not beneficial. It's, for me...
He's not been there for 4 years, so that will be difficult for him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm saying I don't think it's beneficial for him to go there, but he's got this obsession of becoming WBC world title at 147. That's what he wants to do. His dad won the belt. He wants to become a world champion that way. And I'm... whether people say whatever they like about, I'm biased. I'm not. I just see people are a little bit harsh to him when they're saying, he can't beat Barrios. Like, yes, he will. He'd beat Barrios.
No, I don't think people have said that. I think they've said that it's going to be difficult for him to get down to 147 again. And that's the big concern.
I've heard a lot of people say that he will not win a world title. Like, I think if you put him against Rolando Romero, Barrios...
I think the concern is... I think, of course, he could beat Romero and he could beat Barrios if he had that strength and that power and that speed and that stamina down at 147. And that is the big question mark. There's not so much that he can beat the current champions at the moment. For me, it's can he beat the weight? I think the weight is a bigger issue for him than... No, for sure.
It's going to be very, very difficult.
That's the challenge.
Yeah, that's going to be the challenge.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, I've spent time with Conor. You asked me to go and have a drink with him a couple of years ago, and I did, and I liked him. I think he's a very nice boy.
Yeah.
I've always liked him. I understand the challenges that he's been through. This iteration or this incarnation of Conor that we've now got, what's that about? We seem to see a very hostile and aggressive... Because it doesn't chime with the Conor Benn that I've met in terms of the fact... I know he's had difficulties. I know he's pissed off with people making observations about him.
He's got to be in his bonnet with a few people. Right.
But this angry, aggressive, unpalatable, unpleasant Conor that's going around at this moment in time is not really reflective of the kid that I've met. Or is this the new version of Conor, or is this what sells?
No, all I would say is I had an opinion of Conor Benn before I met him, and I was thinking, not my cup of tea. But when you meet him, like you...
Yeah, like him a lot.
He's the most generous, nice person that you will ever come across. If you've got an opinion, that's fine. But it's, like, as I say, I know the Duke McKenzie...
You can't say things that he said to Duke.
No. I even said that. No, definitely not. But also, you can't say things that aren't true. So you have to expect to be pulled up on that.
Absolutely.
But there is a way of conducting yourself, and I'm not saying that's the right way, because it absolutely isn't. And you've got to speak to your elders with more respect, in my opinion. But people should know the details before they say, "Oh, Conor's this, he's that."
Yeah.
Conor's a very good kid. He really is. He's a very, very good kid. He's a very respectful kid. People have their opinions of him, and they're entitled to it. That's that. But you have to respect what he's done recently, what he's done against Eubank, because he was not the favourite in that fight. I know people say, "Oh, Eubank was shot." All right, that's fine. But you still have to beat what's put in front of you, and he did.
He'd win.
Yeah, I did as well. I did as well. But I'm saying you still have to beat what's put in front of you.
In the second fight, I did, yeah.
People have this thing like, oh, he boxed a shot to pieces. Hold on a minute. Eubank's massive compared to Conor Benn. Massive. Conor Benn's not a...
He was done, though, in the second fight.
No problem.
The first
but
fight...
Paul, we can't all pick holes. Joe, in boxing, right, just quickly,
The first fight,
right?
I was very, very impressed with Benn because of the effort that he gave.
He boxed the wrong fight doing that fight.
I was more impressed with Eubank because I didn't think Eubank had that left in him.
Do you know what I'm saying is, though, Paul? Do you know, like, if you can go into any fight and you can pick holes into anything, like, OK, say somebody beats Usyk next, Fabio Wardley beats Usyk next.
Yeah,
they're going to say, oh, Usyk's done. You can't... we should be saying, wow, Fabio Wardley. You've got to... In boxing, there's always he's beat him, he's caught him at the right time. He's beat him, he was done at the weight.
But what you find, Sam...
Give the geezer some respect.
I agree, you've got to give him his respect, and I do. I respect him, and as you said, as both of you have said, I met the kid before all the problem with the drug tests and all that.
Yeah.
And he was one of the nicest kids I've met. He is a nice kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what you're saying is, after most fights, it's like, oh, he caught him at the right time. That is boxing. You do catch him at the right time. Mm-hmm. I always use this example. Ricky Hatton caught Costa at the right time.
Absolutely.
A year earlier, it's a different fight.
Yeah.
But he beat him because he got him just at the right time. He wasn't finished. It was just at the right time.
It's perfect. It's bad, though, isn't it? A lot of the time, it's always like,
that's the game.
You can pick holes into everybody.
And how many times you see an old champion being fed up to a young up-and-coming prospect.
It's the
we hear that saying, cross-old fights, passing of the baton. That's the game,
criticism,
unfortunately.
I think criticism is a part of the game as long as it's fair criticism. It's not based upon an agenda.
Yeah.
And it's also, if it's informed criticism, if it comes from expertise rather than people just shouting it for the sake of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Does any of you, do we think, any of us, that we'll see Chris Eubank back in the ring in 2026?
No.
Junior?
I don't know.
No?
I think he's got enough.
I hope not.
Now, what I'm saying is he's got his issues outside of the ring.
Yeah.
He's got his health problems outside of the ring. And I just think that off the back of that last performance, you know, we're talking about when you're looking at Deontay Wilder's, and Deontay's come out now and said, you know, there was reasons and personal problems going on in the background. Chris Eubank Jr. going in off the back of that performance, the first fight with Conor Benn took everything out of him. He had nothing left.
Exactly that.
Nothing left. Conor stole his soul in many ways in that fight.
It was his last hurrah.
Yeah,
he left everything in there. But
so
I would rather not see him because he's had a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
He's had a brilliant career. He's made
monetarily,
monetarily, but no one was probably expecting that off him when he first turned pro. To do what he's actually done.
What he's done
opinion,
is absolutely unbelievable, Eubank. Yeah. And it's a shame in some ways that he wasn't promoted straight away by a Frank Warren or an Eddie Hearn, because I think he would have even been an even bigger star than what he's
always wanted to do it on his own terms.
Yeah,
his dad was like that as well.
But he's been amazing for boxing. Like, even me, like, I wanted Conor Benn to win, but I was like laughing at some of the build-up of Chris Eubank.
I have to say, I've been to many fights around the world, and one of the best atmospheres in a fight was when his brother Liam came in Manchester in the first fight against Chris.
Oh, his entrance was amazing,
proportion of that is because the
amazing.
atmosphere, OK, they're all singing Tories, right?
Yeah.
That's a different discussion. But it was just to me, right? But it was also because of the intrigue that Chris Eubank brought in.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was absolutely electric. Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
I'm a massive admirer of Jack's. I feel so sorry for him that he's had to have these many fights to get to certain situations. One fight too many against Arnold Barbosa Jr. puts him back at the back of the pack.
Yeah.
Brilliant performance against Echo.
Yeah.
And you know, went through a difficult period in the fight. I know you've described it previously where he got cut and all of a sudden he started to get worried about it.
Yeah, he thought it was the same cut as against Harlem. He was looking over. I said, it's not the same one. He panicked.
What are we going to get from Jack this year? What opportunities are going to be given to him, and what are we going to get from him?
We're back where we were about a year ago. He's WBO #1. Hopefully, Gustavo Oliveira will mandate him to fight Devin Haney. Jack's he's always said he wants to fight Devin Haney. He just really fancies that fight. I mean, look, the Crocker fight was available, but people have to understand it's a voluntary defence. So it's when people say, you'll know this, Paul, get him a world title fight. He deserves it. I know he does. But who the hell is going to voluntarily fight Jack Catchell?
On your first fight.
On your first fight. You're not going to do it unless you're stupid. So he's going to fight. He'll either have a keep busy fight, but at the highest, it'll be a good big name, hopefully. Or he'll go straight into the Devin Haney fight at WBO #1. I mean, that's what I want for Jack. I mean, he was under a lot of immense pressure in that last fight.
Yeah.
You were saying Echo was the best welterweight in the country, yeah? And I said, I'll remind you of this after the fight because I was so certain Jack was going to do what he was going to do to Echo because his coach was telling him, you need to get this boy out of there in this fight. He was really drilling it into him.
The manner that he beat Echo was very impressive, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like what he had to overcome as well, and the psychological damage with the cut eye and all of that sort of stuff.
Moving
and he got
long-term
but he got
coaches,
himself back together,
and
he boxed slightly differently. It was not such a sort of like.
No, he
boring, sort of negative. He entertained. He pushed forward.
Absolutely
None of this Tom and Jerry, as Turkey would call it. He went out there and he done the job, but he done it in world-class fashion. You've got to give him credit.
He was working hard in the gym yesterday as well.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready. It's the most important time in his life at the moment, Jack.
Absolutely
and I would back him to beat.
If ever there was karma and justice in the world, that he'll get a world title at this weight class because we all know the circumstances in which he didn't get undisputed. Super lightweight titles, we know that circumstance. How are you going to manage Pat Brown this year? We had him in the studio the other day. Yeah. Very impressive fella. In his most recent fight, I was really impressed. I spoke to you about him and raved about him.
Yeah.
I like his personality. I like his confidence. He exudes menace in a calm, collected, educated, erudite way. He's incredibly confident without being arrogant. This is, whilst I think the cruiserweight division is not the greatest division in the world because it doesn't really ignite and excite.
It's going to be his division soon, I'm telling you.
It can be, can't it? How are you going to manage him this year? Where are you taking him?
It's funny because I told Pat, I said, look, I'm going to leave you alone. Because Pat likes to forget about boxing. Yeah. When he's had a fight, he likes to have his time out with his family. He likes walking his dog but he messaged me and he was angry. And I said, I'm so glad you're in an angry mood because it means I can talk to you about boxing again. And he's like, I want back in. So. Look, it's a rough one for me really because I signed John Hedges years and years ago when I was with Adam Morley at S-Jam. But unfortunately, he's in the line of fire, John Hedges. He's the English champion. Pat's, I think, top 10 in the WBA now. So it looks as though that's the route we're hopefully going to go. I mean, it's not great news for John Hedges, but the game's
the game. The fight next?
Yeah, I'm hoping so, Spence. Nice. Yeah, but the game's the game. But we don't want to skip chapters because it's easy for me to get excited by Pat.
That's what Pat was saying.
Pat, I look at and I just think, and if you don't want to ask me, ask Jamie Moore, who's a lot more.
He's still got to build that engine as well, hasn't he?
Absolutely, he wants, but we don't want to skip.
Like what Atama was.
Yeah, we just don't want to skip. We don't want to skip chapters with him, Paul. Do you know what I mean?
I tell you what, John Hedges is a class operator himself, mate, as well. Like that is a massive test for him. Like a massive step up.
Absolutely, but we don't want to skip chapters. So we want to go English, British. European, I don't personally think the European means what it used to mean.
Why not, Sam? I see fighters bypass. We're talking about Conor Benn, like bypass the British and come out the European, like win them. There's no problem. The good little sort of testing fights on your way up to get to inevitably where you're going to get to anyway. But win them and do it and do it the traditional way.
That's what we're determined to do.
That's what he wants.
I really, as I say, it's so important because I think, I know. Listen, you tell me. It's easy to get excited. I get excited about fighters, but I'm telling you now, he is the boy, Pat Brown. He really is the boy. And we don't want to skip chapters with him. We want to do things the correct way, go the traditional route, and I do think he's going to blow everyone away.
Well, it'll be exciting to watch. I mean, I like him. I like the way he presents himself, and I certainly like the demolition job he did in the previous fight that he had against the guy that gets beat, but doesn't get beat like that. And all the Americans
were saying, this guy's going to take him rounds, and we was all looking at Pat no, he's
This
not.
guy gets beat, but he doesn't get beat the way Pat Brown beat him.
Absolutely.
Just a quick word before we go. We've obviously got Dalton Smith taking up the opportunity to fight Subriel Mateus for the WBC light welterweight. Despite the controversy surrounding this fight because of failed drug tests or challenges around that and Dalton deciding that I don't care about that, I'm going to fight this guy because he doesn't want to miss out the opportunity. This is a big opportunity for Dalton, isn't it? This is the moment.
Massive opportunity, but also a very difficult fight. Yeah. Mateus is one of those guys that's got a huge engine, will keep coming. I think Dalton Smith has the quality and the toughness to see it through, and I think he could nick it on points. But it's going to be, whatever way this goes, it's going to be tough, it's going to be tight, and it will go down to the wire, because Mateus is one of those guys that just pushes forward. He's relentless.
Well, he'll have an even better engine, won't he?
Very good.
No, I think Dalton can win the fight for sure. I like Dalton. I like Grant Smith. It's a good gym down there. I don't know about paying £42.50 or whatever it is for the fight. I think that's insane in this day and age. But look, Dalton's got a great opportunity. I know he's trained incredibly hard all the way through Christmas's fight, and I'm backing into it, and I hope he smashes him to pieces.
Well, so do I, especially in light of what's happened in the WBC.
He's one of the nicest lads out there.
As well. What is going on there?
He's one of the nicest lads out there. He works his arse off constantly. He trains really good. He's an unbelievable fighter.
And his dad's sensible as well.
His dad's a good coach. They've got a good gym, good setup, good people. I hope good things happen to them. I'm just devastated that he's having to fight this cheat, because
I agree.
He should not be rewarded.
How do you see it going, Paul?
For failing tests. It's a tough fight for him. It's a close fight. It's a hard fight.
It's on an away show as well.
I hope he does it. He's on an away show. It's obviously their promotion. I hope he does it.
So do I.
I hope he comes back as the winner.
Me too.
So do I. So do I. Right, that's it for episode 153 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver, and of course Paul Smith. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you as the shows roll out in 2026.